Look closely at the screen. The most devastating defeat you'll ever suffer does not happen in a corporate office, a hostile street layout, or an open combat zone. It occurs the exact microsecond you look into the mirror, catch a glimpse of your own hesitation, and allow doubt to occupy space in your mind. Machiavelli never designed his philosophies for the faint of heart. His words were weaponized exclusively for the individual who has reached an absolute, unshakable conclusion deep within his core, a conclusion so absolute that reality itself has no option but to shift, bend, and restructure around his presence. This state of mind is entirely distinct from standard confidence. It operates completely independent of fleeting motivation, and it completely bypasses the fragile concept of hope. It is absolute finality. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Machiavelli, the strategist who has eliminated the very possibility of failure, does not cross a threshold seeking validation or asking for permission. He steps into the environment knowing the exact conclusion, simply because he mapped out the entire architecture in absolute isolation long before anyone else even realized a game was being played. The social hierarchy does not yield to the loudest voice in the room. It does not surrender to the individual with the highest academic intelligence. It yields entirely to the sovereign mind that has closed its borders to the concept of its own submission. That individual becomes an unmovable force, entirely immune to intimidation, social panic, or the opinions of those who chose a life of quiet compromise. This is not basic vanity. This is something far colder, vastly quieter, and infinitely more dangerous. This is sovereign authority. And today, we make it your permanent operational reality. Part 1. The architecture of the fortified psyche. Understand this fundamental truth. An unshakable mind is never an accident of birth. It is built piece by piece, layer by layer. In the dark, when the audience is absent, when no one is cheering, and when the world assumes you are completely stagnant, the vast majority of people spend their lives waiting. They wait for ideal market conditions, the perfect catalyst, or a flawless set of circumstances before they attempt to become who they claim they want to be. While they remain frozen in anticipation, the student of Machiavellian psychology is already running rings around them, operating 3 moves ahead from a mental citadel so structurally sound that chaos ceases to be a disruption. Instead, chaos becomes his primary source of fuel. Machiavelli famously defined this attribute as not virtue in the modern moral sense, but the raw, unadulterated capacity of an individual to impose his sovereign will upon the canvas of the world, regardless of what erratic fortunes the universe provides. Machiavelli compared fortune to a violent, raging river. The unthinking man tries to fight the current while drowning. The wise architect constructs massive, reinforced embankments long before the rain ever starts to fall. Your mind is that embankment. Your personal discipline is the stone. Your absolute silence is the mortar holding the entire structure together. Every single time you trade long-term growth for immediate comfort, you pull a stone out of your own wall. Every single time you let the volatile opinion of a bystander alter your trajectory, you split your own foundation wide open. Part 2. The silence that commands there exists a psychological asset so intensely potent that most ordinary people live and die without ever harnessing it, primarily because it requires an attribute they lack the capacity to sustain: absolute restraint. That asset is calculated silence. This is not the submissive silence of an individual who lacks something to say, nor is it the panicked silence of a coward hiding his thoughts out of terror. This is the deliberate, strategic silence of a master calculator who has realized that uttering a single unnecessary phrase gives away a piece of his sovereignty. Machiavelli observed that history's most brilliant rulers, military commanders, and political architects understood a foundational rule in their very marrow. The individual who exercises absolute governance over his own tongue inevitably commands the room. The individual who commands the room dictates the final outcome. And the individual who dictates the outcome owns his reality. Ordinary people speak out of acute internal discomfort. They flood the atmosphere with meaningless noise to soothe their own deep-seated anxieties, beg for social validation, or frantically gauge whether they are accepted by the group. Every single superfluous word you utter is an accidental confession. Every moment of oversharing is a structural crack in your defensive armor. When you explain your motives without anyone prompting you to do so, you are handing the people around you a detailed operational map of your deepest vulnerabilities. A dangerous strategist never distributes maps. He speaks with razor-sharp economy, utilizing language exclusively when it advances a specific predetermined outcome. He lets the silence do the exhausting psychological work for him. Part 3. The art of strategic detachment in a society entirely dependent on hyper-emotional reactivity. The most disruptive action you can perform is to completely remove your emotions from the control panel. The objective here is not to completely eliminate human feeling. That is a fundamentally flawed goal. The true objective is to build an ocean of distance between what you feel in the moment and how you choose to execute your actions. You must establish a boundary so wide, so disciplined, and so coldly defended that no external provocation, no high-stakes crisis, and no manipulative personality can bridge the gap. This is the discipline of strategic detachment, and it remains the single most misunderstood characteristic of every legendary historical figure who ever wielded real power. Modern culture will try to convince you that detachment is a psychological defect, labeling it as coldness, cruelty, or emotional damage. They want you to believe this myth because an individual who is governed by his emotions is an individual who can be easily managed, easily steered, and easily deployed to serve someone else's agenda. Machiavelli was fiercely unapologetic on this precise point. He recognized that fortune, alliances, and immediate circumstances can shift in the blink of an eye. The leader who allows himself to become deeply attached to a highly specific scenario, overly dependent on a single individual, or locked into only one path forward is compromised from day one. When the terrain inevitably shifts, that leader freezes, completely paralyzed by the sheer weight of what he is terrified to lose. Part 4. The power of playing the long game. Impatient individuals demand immediate compensation. They crave the prize before the labor is completed. Seek public applause before the legacy is structurally secure, and demand the crown before they have ever set foot on the battlefield. That desperate, frantic hunger for immediate validation is the exact psychological trap that keeps ordinary men trapped in mediocrity for their entire lives. The Machiavellian strategist measures time in decades, while the average individual measures it in days. He quietly plants the seeds of massive oak trees whose shade he might not personally enjoy for 10 years. And he executes this task without uttering a single complaint, without making a flashy public announcement, and without requiring a single bystander to witness the work. The patient strategist is never stagnant. He is quietly analyzing the structural layout of the market, charting the psychological profiles of the players around him, and isolating the hidden vulnerabilities in the competitive architecture. He doesn't do this to whine about them. He does it to position himself at the exact geometric intersection where future power will inevitably accumulate. When the optimal window finally presents itself, and it always does, he's already standing exactly where the authority flows. This is the difference between the individual who blindly reacts and the mastermind who systematically orchestrates. Think about your current position, the acute frustration you experience, the agonizingly slow pace of your progress, the burning sensation that things are not moving fast enough, that tension is not evidence of failure. That tension is the exact entry fee required by the long game. Every great architect of history paid that invoice in full. Part 5. The Mask and the Sovereign Architect. Every single world-altering leader in recorded history wore a carefully constructed mask. They did not do this out of cheap, petty deceit. They did it out of a clear realization that the public square does not deserve unfettered access to their true self, their deep feelings, their vulnerabilities, or their long-term strategies. Machiavelli laid this out with brutal, icy clarity in the pages of The Prince. He stated that an effective leader must master the art of utilizing both the beast and the man. The man operates via law and social order. The beast takes over when social orders break down. The mask is the vital psychological mechanism that allows both natures to exist within the same individual, without the outside world ever deciphering which one they are encountering at any given moment. Ordinary people navigate the world with absolutely no shield whatsoever. Every passing emotion flashes across their face. Every reaction occurs instantaneously. Every psychological wound is proudly displayed. And every deep security flaw is broadcasted loud and clear through their physical posture, vocal inflection, and erratic eye movement. They walk through highly competitive spaces like an open book, and then act completely astonished when predatory individuals read their pages and exploit their data. The missing piece is the mask. The mask is not a tool of low-level fraud. It is the highly disciplined, intentional curation of the exact data you allow the external world to observe. It is the realization that perception forms the absolute foundation of power. The narrative the room constructs about you completely dictates how they treat you. Therefore, you must be the absolute author of that script. The individual who controls his own public narrative commands the room long before he even utters a single sentence. He has deliberately engineered the exact energy he intends to project, the precise impression he leaves behind, and the intentional air of mystery he maintains. However, you must maintain a bright, clear line between the mask and the true architect operating behind it. The mask faces outward toward the collective group. The architect behind it is where your raw, unadulterated power actually resides. Part 6. The strategy of hidden variables. The individuals who are completely destroyed are almost never taken down by the obvious adversary they were watching across the field. They are systematically dismantled by the hidden variable they chose to ignore, dismiss, or underestimate because it smiled too warmly, agreed too quickly, or appeared to pose zero threat in the moment they lowered their guard. This tragic script is written in blood across the ruins of fallen empires, collapsed corporate boards, and broken lives where an individual built something truly magnificent, only to watch it rot from the inside out. Machiavelli did not waste his intellectual focus analyzing obvious, loud adversaries. He concentrated intensely on the hidden threats, the toxic flatterers, the predatory opportunists, and the seemingly neutral individuals who are always quietly prepared to auction off their loyalty to the highest bidder the exact moment the political or economic wind shifts. He labeled flattery as one of the most lethal poisons a leader could ever swallow, because it completely warps the single instrument an individual needs most to survive, his objective judgment. When the people around you only echo what you want to hear, you start navigating reality based on a fantasy map. A strategist operating on a completely inaccurate map is already walking at full speed toward the edge of a cliff he cannot see. This is exactly why the powerful individual intentionally cultivates a massive capacity for radical, deeply uncomfortable honesty, not from the people around him. Because the crowd will rarely give you unfiltered truth without an agenda, but from himself. He becomes his own most savage critic long before an external adversary gets the opportunity. He maps his own blind spots, his predictable emotional loops, his psychological triggers, and his defensive reactions, addressing them with the exact same cold precision he would apply to an invading army. Your most dangerous opponent is rarely across the table. It resides inside your comfortable assumptions. It lives in the exact moment you foolishly decide that you have fully arrived, that the work is finished, that the fortress is complete, and that no further construction is required. That is the exact minute the walls begin to crack. The dangerous strategist never tells himself the war is over. He maintains his sharp edge not out of unhinged paranoia, but out of a clear understanding that the world is in a constant state of fluid motion. Alliances are always shifting, and the individual who stops sharpening his blade is already dulling in ways he cannot yet measure. Let us evaluate the social circle you keep. Not every enemy announces himself with a snarl. Some sit directly at your dinner table. They position themselves close to your aura not because they give a damn about your ultimate vision, but because they want to coast on your momentum. The exact millisecond your momentum slows down, you will find them already cleanly repositioned in someone else's camp, carrying away every single piece of valuable data they managed to strip from your Operation Part 7. The alchemy of extreme pressure. Every single historical archetype you deeply admire was forged in conditions that would have completely shattered an ordinary person. They were not blessed with smooth sailing, nor were they handed clear answers on a calm day with favorable winds and an unblocked path. They were systematically forged in intense pressure, profound uncertainty, severe loss, and the specific variety of pitch-black darkness that manifests when everything you built begins to rock on its foundations. In those dark moments, the voices around you, including the panicked whisper inside your own skull, begin to suggest that perhaps you were never truly cut out for this level of execution. Let this be clear. That whisper is not the voice of wisdom. That whisper is the ultimate gatekeeper test. How you choose to respond to that specific test dictates everything, not just the resolution of that immediate crisis, but the entire lifetime trajectory of who you become and what the world will ultimately permit you to build. Machiavelli analyzed men who crumbled into dust under the weight of pressure, and he analyzed the rare few who transformed into diamonds because of it. The key difference was never raw genetic talent, access to capital, or the specific nature of the obstacle they encountered. The difference was entirely internal. It was the precise psychological relationship that individual maintained with hardship itself. This is the true alchemy of pressure, the capacity to fully metabolize what was designed to execute your ambitions and emerge from the fire fundamentally more dangerous than you were before the match was ever struck. Machiavelli understood that fortune deliberately tests individuals precisely to filter out those who are actually worthy of holding power from the masses who merely admire it from a safe distance. The casual desire for power is a cheap commodity. It is everywhere. Every average person trapped in a moment of acute frustration fantasizes about being in total command, imagines being universally respected, and dreams of being completely untouchable. But that desire, without the structural capacity to endure suffering, is nothing more than a childish fantasy wrapped in ambitious words. The capacity to endure, to remain entirely functional, highly strategic, and consistently forward-moving in the absolute center of genuine devastation, that is an extraordinarily rare asset. That is the exact metric fortune is evaluating when the tables turn against you. The universe is not punishing your ambition. It is conducting a rigorous interview. It is asking, with the absolute weight of reality behind the question, are you actually engineered to hold what you claim you want? Or were you only built for the polished version of success that requires absolutely nothing from your character? The code of the sovereign strategist. There comes a definitive intersection in every serious strategist's life, where he stops collecting casual information and starts living exclusively by an unyielding internal code. This is not a code handed down to him by contemporary culture, his immediate social environment, his family, or the society that shaped his conditioning before he was old enough to critically analyze it. This is a code he has constructed for himself, forged directly from raw experience, painful failure, and the brutal lessons that only land when you have lost something of genuine value and been forced to rebuild from absolute scratch. That code is entirely non-negotiable. It is not subject to change based on how tired you feel on a random morning, how the volatile social climate has shifted, or what is currently trendy to believe. It is called iron. It belongs entirely to you, and it forms the invisible mental architecture that makes you truly untouchable. If this deep dive into Machiavellian psychology unlocked a new level of strategic clarity inside you, hit the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel to permanently fortify your mind, and turn on notifications so you never miss the tactical insights required to stay 3 moves ahead of the room. The fortress is built stone by stone, in absolute silence, and your construction begins today.